Hi, and welcome again to Guitar Licks and Tricks. This time I thought we'd just broach the subject of minimum movement. There's sort of a whole principle wrapped around this. The idea of it is that you don't want to put down a finger you don't have to put down. You never lift up a finger you don't have to lift up. You always think ahead to determine how to finger things, particularly with the left hand, but even with the right. And it's like the lazy man's method of playing guitar. It really pays off, though, because almost everybody wants to be able to play cleaner and smoother and faster and so forth, and the less movement you waste, the better you'll be at all of these tasks. So let's take a look. For example, most people, when they first start, they'll play a G chord like this, right out of the Mel Bay book, right? Okay, well, the problem of it is the chord that often comes after G is either G7th or C, or both. Now, when you switch from this G to this G7th, look at all of the body language it has to switch, or from G to C, G to C, okay? But if you'll learn to play the G chord, eliminating the first finger altogether and using the second, third, and fourth fingers to play G, now G to G7th is a one-finger move because these two fingers stay right where they are, G to G7th or G to C. See, it's not nearly as much work as doing all of this. So although this is a great way for a Mel Bay book or something to show you to play a G chord in the beginning, a better way to play it many times is like this. And the reason they don't do it like this, by the way, right up front, is when you first start to play, trying to use your little finger like that, it's like playing with a worm, you know. So they do show you the easier way first, but this often is a better way. Let me show you one other thing, though. If you're in the key of D, where you're going from D to G to A7, that's a perfectly acceptable way to play G. So the idea of it is the spots where the notes are on the fingerboard remain the same, but the fingers that you use to play them should be infinitely variable. And what it depends on is what chord came before it or what chord is coming after it. And let's give you a little better example of that. Here's a tune that I use in my praise guitar workshops when I travel around. It's called As the Deer Pants for the Water. And it goes from D to A, 2 over C sharp to B minor over A, G, A, D. Okay, so the chord progression, watch my left hand doing this. Okay, but how I finger it is like this. Okay, so it's much easier. I can scoot through those changes, and if you can change easier and with less effort and less movement, you'll have less likelihood of making mistakes. Nothing will slow you down for playing it faster. You'll get less finger squeaks and fret buzzes and all that kind of stuff. And if you can play a song faster and easier than it even needs to go, it also boosts your confidence. You won't have such trouble with stage fright or anything like that because you know you can do it. So anyway, the principle of minimum movement is something to really think about. So take a look at, even if you're just doing an accompaniment piece like these, where I'm just strumming chords to songs, look at the particular chord positions you're using and think of what chord is coming up next. Think like a pool player, where you're more worried about where the cue ball ends up for the next shot than you are for the shot that you're playing right now. All right, well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that and get something out of it. Experiment around with it, and we'll see you next time on Guitar Licks and Tricks. Thanks.